It's the usual route of someone being a patient, and then a patient of someone else, and then a patient of someone else, and then a patient of someone else, and a patient of someone else, and it's all reductionist, and everyone seems to have their bias or opinion, and the newest thing that's causing people's health issues, or the newest resolve, like, methylation is the new thing, or candida is the big evil, blah, blah, blah. So I started in the traditional route after just getting, I guess it started with a bit of anxiety and whatnot. And I was a very stable, strong-minded guy. Yeah, I just got a bit of anxiety, started bloating. I got thrush around the filling in my mouth, which was the connecting thing, that's the beginning of the rabbit hole for me. I was in and out of the doctors every day. I got kidney stones after being away on holiday, and that hospitalized me for a few days. And all the doctors told me after seeing multiple specialists was drink more water and don't eat strawberries, which is just, I mean, they know what they know, and they've been taught what they've been taught, unfortunately. Anyway, so yeah, it got to the point where I was having urinary tract infections and urinating, 30 to 50 times a day. And that's no exaggeration. It was literally, I would have something to drink and then I'd be in the bathroom, and it was a prison. It was an absolute prison. And then one day, I'd been into the doctors every single day for over a week, actually. And it had been the 5th day in a row, working day, where I was in the doctor's surgery, and I'd got to know the receptionists. I couldn't drive there because I'd been so ill. And my mum actually took me up, and at 31, your mum driving you to the doctors is not something you expect to need. And I said, Dr. Norris, tell me, what is going on? And he shrugged his shoulders and said, we can't find anything wrong, And so I remember in the car on the way back thinking, this isn't good enough, have to figure something out. And I think the biggest issue that everyone seems to have when they break out of the medical matrix, I guess, is that what happens if our doctors don't know what's wrong with us? Who does know? Like, it's almost like being lost in space without a cord to a vessel. It's like kind of like you need to, or we need to have trust in someone that knows better than us. And it's almost like, when you tell someone that their doctors don't know what they're talking about in a certain area, they go, no, that can't be right. They know, you should listen to them. So it's because we have this attachment to believing that someone knows better, and that gives us hope. Well, I think for me, I kind of let go and said, I don't care about any of that anymore. I just care about being optimal like I once was, and healthy again. And I'm going to do what I needed to do. So I literally got Post-it notes, and I keep them everywhere I go. Again, I build and scale and sell companies historically. And so all I did was apply the business mindset to my health, essentially taking the emotion out of it and thinking strategically. So from the bottom up, mapping out every single one of the symptoms into, I guess, a cause and effect bottom up approach until I linked them all together. And, for me, it was initially mercury poisoning, which caused a whole host of issues, from cellular or nutrient deficiencies to enzymatic issues, digestive issues, brain fog, energy, chronic fatigue, viral issues, and also, enhances, if you do have the MTHFR gene variants, or one of them, mercury poisoning obviously enhances that somewhat. And people without the MTHFR issues obviously don't necessarily get the mercury issues in the first place because they're detoxifying properly or significantly better. So for me, it was a whole spiral, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where I couldn't leave the house. So doing this cause and effect really helped me figure out the root cause without knowing anything about biohacking or functional medicine, anything other than traditional reductionist medicine. And then I just started researching each one of those topics and then fixing each symptom until I was able to tackle the top one. And I think the nearest I know to that now, other than biohacking mindset, which I heard about, 6-7 years ago now, after I'd been researching for nearly 4 or 5 years, is there's a book called Toxic. I think it's by Neil Nathan. And he is all about Lyme disease or chronic health issues that no one else seems to be able to fix, and tackling the biggest baddie in a chronological order. So, for instance, hitting Lyme first might not be the right approach, but attacking, or should I say, approaching the reason why you have mast cell activation in the first place before then attacking Lyme. So, it's about I guess a chronological order of attacking the right thing in the right order, not just everything all at once. So biohacking really does do that.
Yeah, a lot of what we say in medicine, at least here in this functional integrated medicine, is peeling the layers of an onion, right? It's starting with and a lot of people try to go to the core first. If you have Lyme, you go after Borrelia, but that's at the center of the onion. Until you could fix the terrain, detoxify, get rid of things that allow the center of the onion to persist, it'll always come back, even if you keep throwing antibiotics at it. So it was incredible that you were basically doing that. You were biohacking yourself into a healthy state because you had to. No doctors were giving you an answer. And you made that jump rather quickly, you said. You said you kind of went from doctor to doctor. How long was that you were in the doctor's care before you said, I'm jumping out of this?
It was about 18 months, something like that.
So that's pretty quick. That's pretty quick, because a lot of people stay in that forever, for years and years, and just get passed along and just continue to slowly deteriorate, get a little bit of boost after you do some antibiotics, go back down. But, a lot of what you're saying right now is this focus on detoxification as well as the terrain theory and creating an environment. Yes. Do you think that was your biggest kind of goal in this, and that was what really helped you, was once you started cleansing your terrain? Did you start to see symptoms relieve because you were tracking all of this?
Yeah, I think the biggest one of all, and in this is retrospectively, obviously, was introducing some nature and stillness. I'm not talking necessarily meditation, although meditation is a good area to start with the whole mind side of things and quieting the brain. But terrain theory or optimizing the environment outside of you, as Dave Asprey calls it, optimizing the environment inside of you and outside of you to take control of your biology, i.e. the definition of biohacking from the man himself. I like to say that we're using nature and technology to mimic a natural environment in an unnatural world. So, for instance, if we're not grounding because we don't have a garden, or we live in a city with pavements, what ways can we get grounding to restore that balance that we need electrically speaking? And what else? Really, adjusting your environment is a huge part, but that obviously tackles the environment inside of you at the same time. And that can be with your food, the chemicals that are going in, and various other things as well. So I do think that terrain, both inside and outside, is critical to this. And I think depending on which mindset or area of medicine or alternative health you come from, we all seem to have a very similar, core area to hit.